Wow, wait till you meet this next author I'm going to introduce you to. Toni Chavis is amazing. Mom, wife, Mimi, interior designer, business owner, veteran, mentor, advocate, president of the local Chamber of Commerce. Just exhausted hearing about her, and all of us thank her for her service. She's a retired Air Force veteran. She served for 22 years. But before she hit the 22-year mark, she woke up one day and felt paralyzed, was paralyzed. Can you imagine? She takes us on a path that twists and turns in a lot of different ways, but it shows you that you can find your purpose like she did, and you can rise above all the adversity. And she's known as a connector, and boy, she's helped a lot of people. Toni, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let's go to the point where I talked about, you had this military career, you wake up and you're paralyzed from the neck down. Wow. Just even saying that gives me goosebumps. What was that like? What happened?
Well, it's one of those things, I guess, in the early stages of dealing with what I knew at that time was fibromyalgia. Nobody really knew anything about it, how to treat it, how to deal with it. So I had already been started on a host of medications. At one point, I was on 27 different medications per day.
Wow.
And I've gotten myself down to 2 because I was like, this is just not going to work. But I mean, you wake up that morning and, everybody has that normal thing. They jump out of the bed and, go on about their day. Well, this particular day, I just could not move. I couldn't speak. I couldn't do anything. And so I'm laying there. And finally, my husband came in the room around 12 o'clock that day. And he looked at me because he knew it wasn't my normal. And he says, "Are you going to get up today?" And all I could do was whisper and tell him I couldn't move. And I mean, he panicked and, he grabbed me and he, tried to sit me up on the side of the bed. And, when he did that, it's kind of like I kind of felt the blood start to flow through my body a little bit. And, he was like, "Well, I need to take you to the hospital." And I was like, no, I can't go to, because I was still on active duty.
Oh.
So my biggest concern and my biggest fear at that moment was that if this thing was taking over, my career was over. So at that moment, I was, mentally, I was willing my body, you got to move. You got whatever this is, come on, come through it. And, so it took me the rest of the day, but I finally kind of got some feeling back. But I did go to the doctor probably the next week, and I told him I was experiencing some numbness. But, and they started doing nerve testing and different things, and it really wasn't explained, but it was certainly a wake-up call that I knew I had to start doing something a little differently because my body was shutting down on me.
Wow. And do you think, was it shutting down because of so many of the things that you were doing? I mean, you were everywhere.
Well, I mean, at that time, I had been through kind of a traumatic situation in the military. I was trying to deal with just where I was in my health at that point. And at that particular moment, the military was talking about, taking me off of active duty because they were like, "Oh, you're not worldwide qualified anymore." And I'm like, wait, hold on.
Oh.
I've been in 18 and a half years. I'm almost there. I'm not walking away.
Right.
And so, I just had to resolve to fight. And that's what I did.
And so that brings us to your book, The Diamond Born of Fortitude. And I mentioned just briefly, it was childhood domestic abuse. And what happens when you go through something like that and you talk about it?
Well, I think once coming through all of those things, it took me some time to realize that no matter what I had been faced with, whether it was in my childhood or as I started going into my adult life, I started to realize more and more, and the older my mom got and watching her life start to change and her health start to fail, I realized how much strength I had drawn from her. Watching her go through the things that she did and how she handled it. I mean, you'd have to get the book and read that part of the story, but to be in the middle of a dramatic and traumatizing situation and my mom just pulled through it. And her focus was to take care of me. And that's what she did. We packed up and moved, just in less than a week's time. Our whole lives had to change. And so everything that I started going through in my adult life, I started to realize that I had learned that strength from her, of how you regroup and you turn things around.
Yeah, how powerful was that? So if somebody reads the book, what are they going to, obviously I said this already, I mean, your story is woven through it and it's so powerful. What will people learn from reading your book? What do you hope they take away, the impact?
At the end of the day, we're all faced with challenges. We all go through something. We all have those things that just knock the wind out of our sails. They take us off our feet. But you know what? I heard somebody say at one time, if you land on your back, as long as you're looking up, that means you can get up.
Wow.
So you get up and you power through, you fight through, you do whatever it takes, but you can recover. You can come through it. We all face losses in life, losing those people that we love. And that's what really prompted me to finally write the book. When I did finally lose my mom, and in her last years, I really did keep trying to talk to her and just find out, because I saw like her willpower just starting to fade away. I had been used to her being, a literal social butterfly and so full of life, but I saw that there were some things that obviously in her past had truly been weighing on her, and it was starting to wane. And I wanted so desperately to help her, to pull her through. But at that point, there was nothing I could say. There was nothing I could do that turned that around for her. But even right to the end, though, she was still a tough cookie. And she went out of this world on her terms. And those were some of the last words that I said to her, that we said to each other as she was going through her last days. And I said, Mom, you are such a tough cookie. I said, I don't know that I could do what you're doing right now. And she just looked at me and smiled and said, I know.
Wow. Wow, that's beautiful. And you can see that she's passed that on to you, and that's obvious. And boy, I really honestly pick up this book. You will feel so good reading this book, The Diamond Born of Fortitude. I mentioned, and I just really kind of skimmed the surface, I mentioned some of the things that you've done in your life and you're doing. What's been the most joyful thing that you've done? I mean, it's got to be cool to be the president of the local chamber of commerce, because you just are dealing with so many different personalities and businesses, especially now when we're in interesting times. Interior designer, I mean, being a business owner, entrepreneur. Is it all of it, or is there one thing that you're just like, wow, yeah, I did this?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of hard to answer that. Everything that I do, I have a passion for it. And the biggest thing, that the most cohesive part of that is just helping people. So whether it's from a personal perspective, a business perspective, I just love to help people. If there's something that I can do to help you get through a situation or something that you're dealing with, I tell people I'm a connector. So whether or not I'm doing my design business or a home improvement project or whatever, at the end of the day, I want every one of my customers to come away feel like they know something more about that process or that situation that they found themselves in. I want them to come away enlightened. And in business, I don't know everything there is to know about business. I started from the ground up. I did not start with an inheritance and decided to start my business. My husband and I just kind of decided to, go into business for ourselves. We wanted to, be able to help people. And so that's what we started out doing. And over the years, that has just always encompassed everything in my life. So personally or professionally, if I can help, that's what I'm focused on.
Yeah. And that feels good, right? So at the end of the day, it feels good for you.
Yes, it does. Absolutely.
Yeah. So now you've done the Diamond Born of Fortitude. What's next? You've got to write something else. We'll be waiting for the next book.
Well, that is definitely, a goal of mine to do some more writing. This book was very cathartic, I guess you would say, in the essence of just by writing and talking about the challenges I faced and how I pulled through them and what I had to do to just keep moving forward. I want to instill that in anybody, that no matter what you're going through, you can make it. You'll be okay. You will come through it at the end of the day. But, foremost, it's just important for people to know that journaling can help you, just to write some things down, just to get some things off your chest. Oftentimes we don't feel like we have that person that we can trust, that we can share with, or we may feel embarrassed or, inferior to actually say some things out loud. So, but writing often helps you to move past those barriers.
Oh, that is such a perfect place to end this. And we'll be waiting. The Diamond Born of Fortitude, pick that one up right now. Toni Chavis, thank you so much.
Yes, so you can get my book. You can go to Amazon now and find me there, or you can go to my website, tonichavis.com.